I think, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and we think that we're one that really stands out.
Welcome back to LukeTheTrader, and this time with Brodie Sutherland here for the follow-up interview. So, Brody, could you just please quickly introduce your company, and then we just start right away with the questions.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me again, Luke, and providing this update. So we're a gold, silver explorer and developer in Sonora, Mexico, an extremely mine-friendly jurisdiction. We're defining deposits that are right at surface, easy to get to, easy to develop, cheap to develop. And that's what we're looking to do, is aggressively move these forward. And we've been drilling over the past few months and rolling out those bits of news as we get them. And for the remainder of the year, we're looking to do more drilling, adding a core rig into the mix. And that's going to lead us towards mineral resource definition with our first resource estimate at our Pilar project. And that's really going to springboard us to the next steps, which is permitting for production and showing that we can produce off of it. And I think the timing is fortunate given the price of gold currently. And we're excited about the future that lays ahead for us.
Mm-hmm. So can you provide an overview of what has happened the last 3 months since we conducted the interview, and just talk a little bit about how the drill program has been going on since we talked about it on our last interview?
Yeah, so, we've been drilling. We've drilled approximately 3,300 meters and 26 holes. This is all RC drilling, and we're focused on near surface oxide material, which is easy to liberate the gold and silver from at our Pilar project. And we've been putting out those results over the last few months. Extremely encouraged with what we've seen. We've hit 2 of the best holes ever outside of what we call our main zone, which is kind of the center of previously known mineralization in the area. And those have been extremely encouraging and just completely open up resource potential outside of that main zone. And we've been more aggressive this round of drilling than ever before, with stepping out and doing exploration further out from that main zone. And we keep hitting. And, even in areas where we hit, it might be weaker mineralization, but definitely clear indicators that this all continues and that it requires additional drilling to further explore and define those areas. And that's really all within 2% of our land package. The other 98%, we've done early sampling on it, and it's all been very encouraging, telling us there's a much bigger footprint here, and that 98% area has never been drilled. So a lot of upside with what we're doing, and we're extremely encouraged with the results that we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. And how is it currently looking like for potential joint ventures, as majors were conducting a 30-day field program?
Yeah, so they've actually been out there for over 6 weeks now. So I'm going to have to get a big stick and start chasing them off the property, I think. But, we know what they're looking for, and that's multi-million ounce potential. We believe that exists there. The evidence is in all the sampling that we see, in the footprint of alteration that we see. And clearly they like what they're seeing, the amount of time that they're spending in that area. Our expectation is they're going to take that information that they've collected over the past couple months, internally review that, share that information with us. We can then sit down and start to talk about a path forward. And, our biggest thing is that we feel extremely undervalued where we're at today. We know we've got something substantial at Pilar, and we're not going to jump to a quick deal that doesn't make sense for the shareholders. So, there's a lot of conversations to come, but we know they're interested. We know there's other groups interested in what we're doing. And in the meantime, we'll just keep pushing forward with what we need to do, which is building out a resource and making that as big as possible as we move forward, and also getting things permitted and ready to go to production.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the reasons for why Tocvan Ventures is trading at the current state it is, despite it being a producer soon?
That's a very good question. I mean, right now, we're seeing across the sector a massive disconnect between the price of the commodity gold and all these companies that are exploring and developing and producing it. And I think it's quite unprecedented in what we're seeing currently in the market. And we know that's going to change. We know that there's going to be a shift where everyone all of a sudden wakes up and realizes that all these companies are undervalued. It no longer makes sense. And, we just want to be ready for that shift. And I think, we've done everything we can to be ready for it. And we know it's coming, any day now. So, that's the reality that we're living in right now. Whether we need a shift in another sector where investors exit that to come into the gold space, I think that's going to be required. But there's no doubt the world just has not recognized what $2,400 gold means. What does that mean for Newmont? What does that mean for Agnico? And as the world kind of clues into that, I think then they're going to start looking to companies of our size and going, wow, look at the potential of this. Let's jump in, because we've got operators in our region. And, we talked about this earlier. Another one's Alamos Gold, at their Mulatos mine, 80 kilometers away, $1,000 all in sustaining cost to pull an ounce out of the ground. Like, that's extremely cheap. And when gold's at $2,400, they're very happy. And I think we're going to see that reflect in the market to come.
As you already sort of started talking about the drilling program before, could you just provide an overview of the results and perhaps also your judgment on those results as the CEO of the company?
Yeah. So, there was two real standout holes, 56 meters of a gram. That was over 300 meters away from our main zone. That really opened up that trend. We call our 4T trend. So we've got currently three kind of known parallel trends to each other that look to tie together into a bigger body. And, the 4T trend's the furthest to the east that we've defined so far. And this is the best hit ever on that trend, right at surface, completely opens that up. Right next to it, or in between what we call our main zone and our 4T, we have a trend called North Hill. We hit 43 meters of a gram. Again, very close to surface, completely opens up that trend. The best hit ever off of it. And, beyond that, what we really wanted to do is, we know what we have at our main zone. Any work that we do will never take away from our main zone. And that's really the core of our best mineralization that's right at surface. And it's about finding what else do we have across the property. And, I think this program has been extremely successful. We're constantly evaluating, what is success for us. And, we have a metric that we use internally, and, consistently in all our programs from the start of the company, from 2020 to today, typically we see about a 30% success rate with holes that hit very good mineralization that, add significantly to a resource. And the significance of this last program is every hole hit mineralization. But again, about 30% of them were over that threshold that we consider extremely successful. So what I like about that, and what it's really telling us, is that if we're being more aggressive, stepping out in all directions, trying to find the outer limits of this thing, and we're still having the same success rate, that means there's something good there. And, that's what's the most encouraging part. And then, again, that's only 2% and even less of the bigger project area that's never been drilled. And so, we know our upside is immense. We know there's a lot of opportunity to come, and this drilling has been a nice step forward for us. And for the remainder of the year, there's a lot more to do. We want to get a core rig out on site. We've drilled core once before and had great success with it. And the significance of that is that it's needed for our resource modeling to build our geological model. And with that, we're going to be working back through the areas of known mineralization to get a better understanding of it. And, we have no doubt that's going to provide great results for us. But then it's starting to step out even further and test these other targets to say, hey, okay, we have this, and then a kilometer over here, here's another trend. That's never been drilled, never been defined, and it's about just continuing to advance that as we go. So we're very encouraged with the latest results. And I think, the others that are looking at us will see that as well.
And what are your plans for the next few months, and specifically looking at the maiden resource estimate?
Yep. So we've got another 3,700 meters of drilling planned for the remainder of the year. Potentially could expand that as we go. That's going to be a mix of core and RC drilling. We're planning to get a core rig out on site as soon as we can in September, and then bring out an RC rig after that. Potentially bring in a second RC rig if the opportunity presents itself there, and basically be the most aggressive we've been with drilling across Pilar, because I think it deserves it right now with what we're seeing. And that's all going to go into a maiden resource estimate. That's a work in progress as we build towards that. But the target is at end of the year, put all that information together and build that out. And, with that, then it's taking the next step and using that information to start to permit for full-scale production. We're also looking at the opportunity to permit for a smaller pilot scale facility on site that we can begin to process that material while we're waiting for a full-scale production permit. And I think that's a nice logical step for us. Again, we're able to do that at a very low cost because everything's right at surface. The strip ratio is extremely low. So, I think something that differentiates our path forward from others in the sector. So lots to do in the next few months. Our field crew is on the ground right now, doing surface sampling and mapping across the bigger property area to try to define the outer limits of mineralization so that we can begin to target with the drill in those areas. And so there's lots going on. It's going to be a busy end of the year, and I'm excited to see what happens to the gold market in general as we move through that.
And in terms of capital needed into the future, will this be mostly secured through warrants? And do you need perhaps some other sort of vehicle to sort of finance your the next few months, essentially, in this case?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting on good working capital right now, over 1.5 million that we can deploy over the next year, really, if we needed to stretch it out. We do want to be aggressive, so we'll look for opportunities to expand on that. And we have warrants that are in the money right now, so that potentially is an excellent way for us to fund the next year and beyond. So we kind of just have to gauge it by market, but we're very cognizant of when we raise capital and how we raise it. We've been around for 4 years and have 51 million shares out, and that's taken a lot of discipline to keep that intact. But again, it's all about the setup for what we can see in the gold market about to take shape. And we want to be ready for that, and we want our shareholders to benefit from that as we move through it.
As you have this sort of timeline for the maiden resource estimate for the end of the year, is there perhaps any potential hurdles that investors should be aware that could perhaps push this process perhaps a few months further into, let's say, the next year or something?
Well, I mean, the biggest hurdle would be if we hit some amazing zone of mineralization and felt like we needed to drill a bunch more on it, which would be a great hurdle to have. But no, we don't foresee any hurdles. I mean, we could. There's over 20,000 meters of drilling. It's going to be close to 25,000 meters of drilling completed on Pilar. We could do a maiden resource estimate at any time. Our biggest thing is that we want to fully understand what's going around this area that we've been focused on, this 2% of the bigger property, before we put that out. And, that's our biggest thing, is that we want to make it very clear to everyone that's what it makes up. It's 2% of the project area. So that initial resource is really our starting point, and it shows that there's something here tangible in the ground that we can get after quickly, begin to make money off it, and then start to more detailed explore the rest of the property. Because, I mean, that's our biggest thing, is that we don't want to dilute out our shareholders by drilling hundreds of thousands of meters. We really want to build this first, then drill in detail. And really leading up to that, it's about putting drill holes down in these other targets to show that they exist. And then we can go back in detail and drill them out. And, the greatest example is Mulatos with Alamos Gold. It's, again, very close to us. It started with a starter pit that's kind of similar to Pilar. And then they were able to find satellite deposits around it. But now there's been hundreds of thousands of meters drilled on it. I don't want to be cruel to our shareholders and do that. Let's build this because we can, and then use that capital to explore the rest. And, if we've got a partner through that, with one of the local majors, fantastic. But again, this is an incredible thing about Mexico, is that the build for that initial, starting mine, is such a low cost. You're looking at $20 million US, incredibly low to get going, and makes it extremely accessible to a company like Tocvan to start with that. So I know I didn't really answer that question about hurdles, but we don't really foresee any. Drilling is very steady, easy to do where we're located. We don't see any challenges with that, and we know we can build a resource out today if we needed to. So I think the biggest thing is, if we hit additional mineralization that's significant, we'll likely want to define that out before we put out the resource, and that could delay it. But other than that, we don't foresee any challenges.
And as we are at the end of our interview, is there perhaps anything you want to highlight about Tocvan, especially coming into the next few months?
Yeah, I think, again, we're very aware of this massive disconnect between the commodity price and the market performance for the sector. And, we want to make it very clear to everyone that even though it's been this challenging market, since we've traded off our high in June of 2021, we've drilled better holes. We've expanded out mineralization significantly. We've done a bulk sample to show that you can pull these metals out of the ground. We expanded the land position 20 times. Anyway, we want everyone to know that through this difficult market, we've kept as active as we can be, and we'll continue to do that as we come out of it. And that's all to set us up for the future. So we're very much looking forward to the next year. I think it's going to be an exciting one for us. I think, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and we think that we're one that really stands out. And I'll be looking forward to keeping everyone in your network updated as we move through that.